approaching the dual carriageway, I'm picking up my speed, keeping my distance from the car in front. Placing my indicator on so that I can be seen by the cars on the dual carriageway. Starting to use my mirrors, plenty of mirror checks. Blind spot check to make sure I've not missed anything, and sliding over. There's a car in the middle lane, van in the middle lane. So now looking ahead, looking behind me, I've got a nice safe gap to turn into, so making sure the van is far enough ahead of me, I'm sliding out. So now I'm starting to increase my speed to overtake the cars on the inside lane. Lane number 1. Keeping an eye on my mirrors behind me, continuously checking, always building up a picture of what's going on around me. You should always know what's going on when you're on the motorway or dual carriageway, travelling at high speeds. Things can change very quickly, so having a built-up picture at all times. So now traffic's starting to lighten up. I'm still overtaking this grey van at this speed, so I'm going to stay in this outside lane. Looking right down the road, I can see there's going to be a lorry to overtake at some point. Not really a concern right now, but we'll be taking it into account as we get closer. It's also about to go up a hill, so I'm expecting the lorry to slow down. So based on that, I'm not going to move back over to lane number 1 here. I'm just going to stay in lane number 2, and you can see the lorry's dropped a lot of speed there, so we've got a nice easy overtake. Again, looking behind me, there's not anything with anybody close behind me. Now looking ahead, I can see that there's no reason for me to be staying in lane number 2. I'm not overtaking anyone, so I'm going to check my mirrors and I'm going to move across. So I'm going to move back over to lane number 1, because again this white van's sort of doing a pretty decent pace at the moment, and I've not really got an overtaking opportunity because the silver van is. Okay, so now the silver van's moved back in, not sure why, so I'm going to move back out here, because actually we can maintain that speed. However, now I'm expecting both of them to overtake the lorry, so I'm easing off on the gas as that happens. As soon as I saw that lorry, my foot came off that gas pedal, because the expectation there was that both vans would move out. Now I'm also expecting them both to move back in, so that's when I can then increase my speed again and go for that overtake. Cars have caught up a little bit behind now because we've dropped our speed. There goes the van back in, so I'm going to increase my speed here, but I'm keeping an eye on them in case they catch up a car that they're thinking of overtaking. We're approaching a bend, and both vans are starting to sort of brake slightly for that bend. I'm quite happy at the speed we're at around this bend. It's quite a long bend, I can see a good distance around the bend there, so I'm okay at the speed. A bit cautious of that van as we're going past, because he's quite close to the white line there, not giving me much space. Popping my cruise control back on, is that I'm going to be catching him up at some point. So the car in lane number 1's just moved across, probably quite sensibly there. He's trying to get across before that blue car caught him up, so he didn't get stuck, so it's good planning there from that car. I don't need to do that as early because I haven't got a car overtaking me. So coming up, we've got a slip road on the left, so I'm going to move over now, because the lorry might potentially need to move over, and that will give me that option to move into the 3rd lane to overtake anybody that moved over. The lorry didn't move over, he just sort of adjusted his speed. Staying here now as we're going past the lorry anyway. And then looking further down the road for any other hazards. Again, I can see some lorries, caravans in the distance, so they might become an issue at some point. I'm going to move back over to the left lane as we're not overtaking. So looking ahead and now as well here, we can see that we've got the motorway is going to be splitting into 4 lanes, 2 lanes going off to the A38 and and then 2 lanes going off towards the A38. Now we're going to be going off towards the A38, so we're going to need to be in the middle lane at some point to split over. That signpost did say it was 2 miles away, so we're not in a huge rush to get over yet. Looking ahead, I'm not overtaking anyone, and looking behind me, I'm not in a rush to get out because I'm not going to get stuck at the moment. I've got one car approaching gradually, so I might consider moving out to stop them overtaking me, or to invite them to go into the outside lane at some point. Just sort of trying to work out the timings of that, and whether I've got time to let him go past me, or whether I would be wanting to get out in front of him. So he's got a little bit closer now, so I'm going to just let him go past me, and then I'm going to move out. I can see down in the distance there where the split's going to start, and I'm also looking at the fact that I might need to overtake the lorry. I'm also anticipating the fact that the lorry might want to move into the middle lane at some point. So the car's come past me now, so I'm just giving him enough room in front of me, signalling to move out, and then I'm going to slide in behind. So again, I'm anticipating the fact the lorry might want to move over into the centre lane here if he was going to the A38. So I've checked my mirrors, and I know it's safe to move over if I do need to. I would expect the lorry to have already signalled by now, so I'm not looking for him to overtake. So we're staying in this lane here as we go around. The lorry actually did move out behind me, so it was good that I was keeping an eye on that in case he did it in front of me. Looking ahead, cars are starting to slow down in this lane here, so I'm planning on moving over into that outside lane. And yeah, I'm going to move over now as they start to drop that speed. Car in front's done the same. Nothing in behind me. Also watching here for any cars that might potentially want to overtake, so the white Mini here might want to overtake the lorry at some point, so we're just keeping an eye on them as well. My expectations here is that the lorry might move back over to the left lane. Does so, I'm going to move into the centre lane. I've gone past him now, so I'm going to move over anyway. Another truck in the left lane, so I'm just going to stay here in the centre lane. Keep an eye on my mirrors. Nothing currently overtaking me. Big enough gap here to move back over into the left lane. I'm considering the fact we've got a slip road coming up on the left, so I'm checking my mirrors, and again it's perfectly safe for me to move back into the middle lane if I need to. I can see some cars ahead braking, so that makes me think that maybe somebody is joining on the left lane there, and there is a car joining. Both cars have moved over to the middle lane, so I'm going to follow them in the fact that I might need to overtake them in a minute. And now that you can see the van has started braking, so I'm just going to move out into the outside lane there. Slide in and overtake the van.
Caution, traffic event ahead.
So my car's just told me caution, traffic event ahead, so again I'm going to be looking ahead as I always would do for any accidents or incidents ahead. I'm moving back over to the middle lane now. So we're heading off towards Plymouth here, so we're going to be taking the right-hand split of the dual carriageway. So I'm not going to move back to the left lane here. I'm going to stick with my middle lane. Now, looking ahead here, we can see we're going to start going uphill. So that's going to make me be even more concerned with lorries, because their speed is going to drop dramatically. Keeping to the right, just showing everybody which lane I'm going to with my nice early road positioning here. I'm going to have a good look up the road here. Got two very slow moving lorries, and I'm going to move over into that middle lane. You can see on the left some police car pulled over there, so that was the caution traffic event ahead my car was talking about. Just had a little moment there where I thought that lorry might have been moving out, so my foot flickered over towards the brake pedal there. He had a little twitch and he has moved out just behind me. I've moved over into the outside lane here as I am travelling faster than this car in the middle lane. Not much, but I am. So we're just gradually overtaking the car in this lane. Now I'm looking ahead with all these cars moving out to overtake the lorry. Make sure I'm far enough past this car in front of me before I move back over, and we're going to slide back over into that centre lane. You can see that the outside lane here is going to disappear in 400 yards, so we're not looking for an overtake here. So I'm actually going to take my cruise control off here and match the speed of the cars in the lane in front of me, so I haven't got that opportunity to overtake them anymore. Just keeping that distance, and I'm watching for them to sort of move back over at some point where I can maybe go back to increasing my speed. However, now we've got over the top of the hill, everyone has gone back up to 70, so I'm not worried about overtaking, and the cars in the left lane have sped up as well, so back over I go because I'm not overtaking anymore. Max speed 50 advisory sign. Doesn't mean you have to do 50, it's just advising that might be a sensible speed. Obviously you can judge your own car, some situations might be slower, some might be faster. Here certainly these bends are still here, but they're not as tight. I can see plenty of distance around them, so I'm just judging what speed I can balance the car at. Easing off the gas slightly into the bend, turning and then accelerating out of the bend. Again, I'm going to stick with this lane because this car potentially on in lane number 1 is going slower, so still potentially overtaking. Just wasn't worth coming back in there. It can be quite tricky to decide whether you are overtaking or not on roads like this because cars' speeds fluctuate. They're not necessarily sticking to the same speed, so they're slowing down sometimes and then speeding up later, so the car you thought you were overtaking is now going faster, so you need to then just be comfortable with changing your mind and going back into the lane number 1 if you're no longer overtaking. So I'm staying in lane number 2 here again because I can see all the cars in lane number 1 braking. Control my own speed. So although I'm not actually overtaking the cars in lane number 1, they're all quite bunched up together, so I'm just going to stay out here because I feel a bit safer out here. If that front car brakes a little bit too sharply, I think we're going to have a series of quite heavy braking there, so just staying out here. And I am gradually catching them up anyway. But we've got a series of maybe 5-6 cars all far too close to each other, so definitely don't want to be involved in that. And so now they've started to move out, I'm just going to drop back here and give myself plenty of room. I know there's a dual carriageway coming in from the left. That can cause people to brake, and with all these cars travelling too close together, it only takes one person to overreact and we're going to have a situation. So keeping plenty of space. As they start to move out of the way, I will increase my speed and go back for the overtake. The Jaguar is sort of just hovering here. He is doing his overtake. Now this will be interesting if he moves over here. I'm expecting him to move into the middle lane, but he may not have spotted the white van's moved. And so yeah, I'm going to increase that speed back up to 70. And we'll see what the Jaguar does, whether he's going to also speed up to 70 or not. So I am slowly going past the Jag. So once we've got past this Jaguar, there's not really a lot going ahead, so I'll sort of what's going on ahead of us, so I'll be moving back over to the centre lane. Okay, the Jaguar has decided that he's found his accelerator pedal and off he goes. And so I'm going to move back over into the left lane. My guess would be that the Jaguar realised he wasn't in the average speed camera anymore and went for it. But now on these cars in lane number 1 in case any of them decide to come over. So I'm going to come off at the next exit, so it's a mile away. So just planning that, I'm not going to tuck in too early, I've got plenty of time. I can see I'm going to get past this lorry, and so I'm just looking for gaps that I can pull in after the lorry. There's a nice big gap after the lorry that I can slide into. I'm not sure that I'm going to get any further down the dual carriageway, so I've got half a mile to go. Certainly not going to catch up that black car, so moving over to that left lane ready for our exit. So here now I'm going to be watching for is any cars overtaking and sliding in front of me. Just had a car pull in behind me, which is fine, it's plenty of distance away. We've got our 3-2-1 markers, so I'm going to put my indicator on to let everyone know we're coming off the dual carriageway. Cancel my cruise control, so we can start just easing off and gradually dropping our speed. As we come off, we're going to stay to the right hand side as I'm going to go all the way around the roundabout onto the motorway. right, approaching the motorway here, so I'm checking my mirrors. I'm going to indicate so cars can see my flashing lights. Got a lorry in the centre lane, so I'm just going to increase my speed, so I'm driving away from that lorry. Joining here at 65, so as I've joined, I'm pretty much already at speed limit. That's made it really easy to join because I was driving away from the traffic. So I've got a van here overtaking me quite slowly, so he's going to be blocking me for quite a while. Looking ahead, I've got a lorry that I'm potentially going to be overtaking, so I'm just sort of working out when I can get out into that middle lane. Got a bit of a gap here, so I'm going to indicate early so that the car that is behind knows I'm going to be coming across, but I'm allowing the van time to get away from me because I don't want to pull in too close behind the van, and now I'm just going to slide across. So that's prevented any cars catching me up. Now this van's blocking my view a little bit, so I'm just letting him sort of pull away. Watching out for the lorry potentially moving over. Checking my mirror, I've actually got a car in the outside lane here. Car's pulled in front of me there. I'm just going to ease off on the cruise control here and give myself time to move out if need be. So staying at this speed for the moment, giving the red car time to move out. Mirrors, and I'm going to move in behind the red car and then match the red car's speed. Again, watching out for this green car potentially moving out. Gradually increasing my speed back up as that red car moves away from me. Got a car moving over here. I'm just watching out in case he does a double lane change. Pretty happy he's sort of staying there now. Looking ahead in the distance, the lanes are splitting. Keep an eye on the traffic behind me. There's quite a few cars behind me, so if they all start speeding up I will get blocked, so I'm just keeping an eye out on that. Got a signpost here for a slip road, so again I need to know if it's safe for me to move over. I've actually pulled away from the traffic behind me, so I'm not worried about being able to move over. Not going to move over just because there's a slip road. I want to see what traffic there is, and as you can see there's not any traffic going on. Now I am actually slightly catching up this red car, and we've got a really slow moving tractor in front of me here, so I'm checking my mirrors and I'm going to move across. I am slightly slowing down because this red car in front of me, I don't want to be too close.
Caution, traffic event ahead.
So my car's warned me of a traffic event ahead, so as always I'm going to be looking down the road for any potential hazards. Splitting off to the left towards Torquay here, so I'm planning ahead. There's a white car van overtaking me, and then I'm going to be looking to move over into the middle lane just to overtake the blue car at the front. Again, scanning the road ahead for any hazards, can't see anything at the moment. Want that white van to just have a little bit more distance between me and the white van at the moment, and then we're going to move over ready to overtake the blue car. Emergency vehicles on the left here. Now that means these cars are going to move over in front of me, so I'm easing off and I'm giving them space to do so, doing the work for them, not overtaking them and meaning that you have to deal with me, creating space there. So I'm expecting them to move back over, so I'm building up my speed again. Nice easy overtake here. So we find on these hills that your speed versus the cars around can sometimes be a lot more dramatic, so we've got to plan even further ahead, whereas we're on the flat everyone's roughly doing similar speeds, so the overtakes are a little bit slower, but certainly lorries can be going a lot slower up these hills.